Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Degrassism. And I was planning on just doing one Degrassism for today, January the 25th, 2025. But thanks to the Degrassi Fanatics page on Facebook, which I belong to, and have been doing my long-winded rants and all that to a Facebook audience instead of a Degrassi Reddit audience like I normally do, it reminded me, it said that Modern Love was published 20 years ago today. So what Modern Love is, it's the episode in which Paige and Oleander are finally caught. And of course, the subplot was that Emma was playing a girls' night thing and ruined by Chester and his horde. So basically, Chester was going after Emma in a sense. But Chester wanted Emma, Manny, or Liberty. And Chester had like what, 3 or 4 episodes, and then he was blackholed. But anyway, the main story was that Paige and Oleander were enjoying a picnic at the park. But then Paige notices that Snake with his infant son Jack was buying ice cream. So Snake takes one glance and thinks he sees something. And Paige thinks he has seen something. So basically, by my guess, I didn't watch this episode much, but anyway, Oleander, I think, told Paige to say things. And Paige basically is told to appear at a hearing alongside Oleander, Snake, and Hatzalakos, and with a lawyer in tow. The lawyer was hired by Oleander to probably tell Paige that, feelings for your teacher are normal. We can fix this problem. Basically, trying to make Paige out to be the bad guy in the situation. But what sickens me about this episode is Paige's behavior at the hearing. She basically says that she wants out of Degrassi. And Hatzalakos says, Paige, it's May. If you transfer over to another school, your year is shot. You would have to repeat. And Paige would also say, then why don't I just drop the media immersion class of Oleander's class, because he was the assistant to Snake. However, Hatzalakos also said that you're in grade 11. Those classes and all that count towards your college your college rankings, if you will, like your college. Can't think of the word off the top of my head, but anyway, yeah. And then the lawyer says, feelings for your teacher are normal. We can fix this. And practically, Snake gets it in his head that something is wrong, saying that whose side are we on, Daphne? Telling Hatzalakos. And then Olander finally stands up and says, I was the one who was inappropriate. It was all my idea. Paige had nothing to do with anything. And basically gets fired for his stuff. So practically Paige is vindicated, if you will. And that, Paige is upset with Olander leaving. And then Olander goes up to the Yukon. And then in season 5, we find out that he breaks up with Paige, gives her weed, and never gets seen or mentioned again. And then Paige, for some strange reason, tears herself towards Alex and all that. Now, basically, what I'm saying is that, it's just sickening how Olander wanted Paige to take the rap, and Paige was going to take the rap. But the fact of the matter is that this was actually a very much heavy storyline that wasn't really talked about much in season 4. The fact of the matter, season 4 will always be remembered as the season in which Rick took the gun to school and shot Jimmy, thanks to Spinner and Jade trying to get the heat off themselves. And then he almost got Emma, but Sean is a freaking hero. So what you got here is a failure to communicate. But also, like Paige's season 4 story arc has got to be this. It would have been the season defining storyline if it weren't for the shooting. So here's how it went. Now, in season 4, we start the first episode. The subplot was Craig getting all this money and Joey wanting Craig to pay rent and all that. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Joey was failing and was going to ask Craig for some money to help him afloat. But I think Joey realized that he couldn't do that to Craig. I think Craig did give him some money as pity. I don't know. Regardless, the main plot was that Paige was told by an officer that her rape trial against Dean is going to trial, like her thing. So she's going to finally get justice and all that. But Paige kind of has second thoughts because of her relationship with Spinner, and basically she didn't want Spinner to know about the details of that night. But Spinner doesn't care. He says, "You got to have justice." So Paige tells her story about it, and she's strong. And Dean's lawyer basically tries to make Paige trip over her words, but she doesn't. The judge actually commands Paige for her role, but also said that because of lack of evidence, I have to let Dean go. Dean hugs his lawyer, but Dean's lawyer actually gives a glancing shot at Paige in like the "I'm sorry" Paige thing. Like she was uncomfortable with it. Dean's lawyer was uncomfortable with it. But of course, Dean got off scot free. He bragged about it. He got kicked out of sorority because Paige told about Dean's deed towards Paige. And then Paige decides to crash Spinner's car into Dean's car as a last sign of revenge. She gets caught. She goes to the cops. She tells everyone she did it, even though Spinner was going to take the blame for everything. But yeah, Paige does the right thing and tells Dean that I'm doing the right thing. That's what good people do when they do bad stuff. And so Dean basically ends up um, being that way. So Dean, in a way, got in trouble a lot. So Paige would get a year's probation and cannot drive and all that. So then Rick comes back to the school, and again, Paige's anxiety goes up towards guys because, Rick's a psycho who pushed Terry in season 3 and seemingly got away with it because he was coming back to Degrassi. And, she was upset by it. Emma decides to step in to try to help Paige with her problems, like Paige's clique, only because Emma lost Manny and Liberty as friends because of Emma's stupidity towards Chris being with Liberty. I mean, Emma asked for it. I'm not defending Emma. So then she knows she has Rick at the school, and she also knows that nobody's doing a damn thing about it, especially the administration. So they do the Orange Ribbon campaign, but the orange ribbons are used by the guys, by the school, to beat up on Rick, not handle the cause, which Emma probably wanted it to be. Paige basically is upset that Emma defends Rick from a beating outside the dot. And so freezes Emma and basically gets the school to freeze Emma in a sense. So anyway, Emma, notwithstanding, Paige, of course, has the problems that, there was a shooting, and then she, of course, heard that Rick was involved in it and shot Jimmy. And Paige probably thought to herself when she was in the cafeteria when Rick slowly was raising the gun at her. And she said that, "I'm sorry, this was childish and you didn't deserve it." And then Rick realizes he's done wrong and then puts the gun back in his bag without Paige seeing it. And then he realizes that she could not have done it. So then she's got that problems with Rick. And then Oleander, like she wanted to be with Oleander. Well, all that. But that's also after Spinner basically left her high and dry because Paige was working to pay Spinner back for his car, but Spinner was being an awful jerk at her at the movie theater. Thankfully, Alex saved Paige's butt in the end. And then, Spinner decides to go after Manny. Well, he's supposed to be technically with Paige. And Paige isn't around because Paige is working to pay Spinner back for the car. Dumb move, Spin. So anyway, she's lost Spinner in a sense for his immaturity. And of course, that was before he got outed as being the guy who kind of course Rick to shoot Jimmy. Well, of course, Spinner and Jay didn't know that Rick had a gun. And then she went with Oleander, even though that she knew that he was a student teacher, she still wanted to be with him because, guys were screwing around with her. And Spinner and her broke up. What I'm trying to say is that Paige's story arc with guys was just terrible. I mean, Dean got off scot-free for the rape. Rick came back to the school. I should really do it this way. Yeah. Rick came back to the school. Spinner was cheating on her with Manny. And Oleander was just playing with her heart and basically wanted to realize that Paige was the bad guy in the situation. I call bullshit, Oleander. I call bullshit. And then what happened is it inadvertently led to her going towards Alex. I have no problems with gay relationships on Degrassi, but the setup for Paige going with Alex was kind of awkward and all that. I mean, they did a better job in Riley's hookup with Sane and a few other gay storylines, but the fact of the matter is, it just was weird. And I bet you everyone had the theory that because guys screwed with Paige, 4 guys screwed with Paige in season 4, that she couldn't trust guys and turned to girls. There's nothing wrong with that, but the fact is, it's kind of a coincidence, a quinky dink, if you will. I mean, Paige got screwed over by Oleander in the end. And it sickens me that she wanted to defend Oleander by dropping out of Degrassi or dropping out of the media program. That's kind of dumb. And the fact of the matter is that Snake, when he saw Paige, Snake obviously was on Paige's side. He was more upset over the fact that Olander was with Paige than Paige was with Olander. Because he told Olander, I trusted you and my students and you let me down. He was on Paige's side. He was trying to help Paige out, and Paige didn't want the help. Kind of dumb. But anyway, that's the way Modern Love was, and what is a good episode? Kind of underrated, I think. But Bark at the Moon is more underrated. I mean, it had 3 good storylines. It had Spinner trying to take his relationship with Manny to the next level. Paige desperately wanted to be with Olander, and the axing of Radich. Was he fired, or was he reassigned as he said he was? We don't know, and we don't really care. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.